ladies and gentlemen, this is Classifying Matter and correlates with Chapter 3.2 in your textbook. Your key vocabulary for this video are element, atom, molecule, compound, chemical bond, chemical formula, and mixture. Please make sure you know and can use all the key vocabulary by the end of the video. Atoms. Hopefully atoms are reviewed from 6th grade, but just in case. Atoms are the basic particle from which all elements are made. So elements being one of these things from our periodic table of elements, atoms are the basic unit of matter. Visually, we can represent this by a red circle. This is our single atom. Now, an element is a substance that cannot be broken down chemically or physically into another substance. If I were to represent this visually, I could represent it with a single circle. This would be an atom that's also an element. Or here, I've got a molecule that's also an element. Let's pretend I've got a bunch of gold, so AU, that's gold, pure gold. It'd be a bunch of dots stuck together, all the same kind, and I chop it in half. My two halves would be exactly the same. I chop it in half again, still exactly the same. I chop it, 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 until I get down to the atomic level. All of my pieces will have the exact same physical and chemical properties. If you don't remember physical or chemical properties, watch the previous video. So that makes it an element. Now a molecule is simply two or more atoms that are being held together by a chemical bond. A chemical bond being a force of attraction between atoms. We'll be talking about specific chemical bonds in future units. Now molecules could be represented by two red dots stuck together. This happens to be a molecule that is also an element. Or in this case, we've got multiple atoms stuck together that happen to be different, which makes them into compounds. Now compounds are two or more elements that are chemically combined to a set ratio. For example, this molecule, also compound, should look familiar. That mouse ears, Mickey Mouse molecule, is H2O. Now H2O is a chemical formula, and it represents compounds. It's letting us know the ratio that we always find water at. For example, H2 tells us that there are 2 hydrogen atoms per 1 oxygen atom in every compound of water. So this compound, every molecule that we see of water, has 2 hydrogens bonded chemically to 1 oxygen. So that's represented by our chemical formula. I like to see things in a visual form, so for me this helps. Here we have all of our elements, all of our atoms, all of our molecules, and all of our compounds. So in this box, we have our atoms that are also our elements. We've got carbon, gold, neon, a model of neon. Down here, we have our elements, remember those pure one type of atom, substances that are also chemically bonded together. So we've got cobalt, so CO2. We've got oxygen, so O2. And then here we've got a visual representation of molecules. You can see that each dot is exactly the same, which makes it an element. And it's bonded more than one together, making it a molecule. Over here we've got our compounds in our molecules. We've got carbon dioxide, water, glucose. Hopefully these are reviewed from previous years. In model form, we've got a model of a compound here. We've also got another model of a compound here. The different colors represent different elements. Now you'll notice there are no atoms or compounds that are the same. So we don't have an atom that's also a compound. We don't have a compound that's also an atom. The reason for this is compounds are 2 or more elements chemically combined at a set ratio. 2 or more elements. An atom is a single element. You can't have 2 or more of a single thing. That would make it a molecule of an element. So we have no compounds that are also atoms. Mixtures. Mixtures are 2 or more substances that are not chemically bonded, but they're in the same area. We've got 2 types. We've got heterogeneous mixtures. Hopefully you remember heterozygous from last year, meaning 2 different types of alleles. Heterogeneous means different types of substances. So they're easily separated. You can usually see the different parts. Those are things like smoothies, salads, dirt, things that can be easily picked apart. You've also got homogeneous mixtures. Back to 7th grade, homozygous, same alleles. Here, these are things that are not easily separated and you can't see the different parts. For example, we've got soy sauce, steel, which is a metal alloy, it's a mixture of different types of metals, and air. Air is mostly nitrogen with a little bit of oxygen. That's a mixture. You can't just pick out the oxygen molecules from the air or pick out the nitrogen molecules. It's all mixed together and looks like one single thing. Terminato. Please make sure you know and can use all the key vocabulary, can explain the difference between an atom, element, molecule, compound, and mixture, can identify a chemical formula, and can explain and give examples of heterogeneous and homogeneous mixtures.